All right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for getting together. Thought with a football schedule set and some things like that, capacity set for the stadium, there might be some questions and you might want some answers. So with that, we'll turn it over to Jim for an opening statement. Start to take questions. If you could just raise your hand in the chat, we'll call on you, or the box, like always, we'll call on you as quickly as possible, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions. So Jim, take it away.
Thanks. I'm sure there's lots of questions. May not have all the answers, but I'll try again. Good to see you guys. Just with school opening up, some positives. Our enrollments, I got a notice today, around 30,000, just 30,849. It's up 4% from last year. There was a record retention rate of 90% with our freshman to sophomore class. So some really good positive things there. On the gift front, we received and are announcing you'll get a press release, a $2 million gift from Mizzou alum Dave Johnson. Just appreciate that kind of support, that significant support that really helps us move forward. We've had some events at one of his holdings, a chicken and pickle in Brookfield, and he just wants to. His big goal is to challenge others in the state and Mizzou community to help support athletics and during these times. And it's a really neat, generous from Dave's part, and so appreciate that. A lot of things going on with our teams and football. A little bit of a scrimmage last week. They're moving forward, and other teams are moving forward towards fall competitions. And in the SEC, we're still working through some of those fall sports with the NCAA pivoting and moving championships to the spring. We're looking at how that impacts our fall sports and looking at possible schedules and options. They didn't give all the answers before we as it was announced, so we're working through and getting answers on what that means. How many competitions can you have in the spring or in the fall? If you're a fall sport and going to have a championship in the spring, what does that look like? We're working through all those things, and stay tuned. I think this week those things will probably be finalized and announced from the SEC.
All right, we'll go to our first.
I'll open it up for questions, I guess.
Gabe?
Yeah, Jim, I know obviously this doesn't describe you guys at this point because cases on campus are pretty low and class is still planned, but there are a number of places in conferences that are planning to play football that have, gone away from class, and the approach seems to be that class doesn't have to meet in person to have football practice. I know even Alabama has basically told students not to leave their houses, but they're having football. How would you answer people that have questions about how that works with the collegiate model? Well,
for us, and I've said it, I think from the spring, it seems like years ago when we were dealing with it and talking about it in April and May, is if the campus is operational, then you can have sports and you can allow that. And when we came back and started practicing, there were still, it didn't get noticed, but we had vet med students back on campus and other students doing work in their research and all. So there were other students on campus. We weren't the only ones, but and the campus started to be operational in June. So that's when we were able to bring the student athletes back, and obviously want to do that in a safe manner. And we've been taking advice from our task force, and you've heard me talk about them, but I think they're playing a huge role in giving us and people across the SEC advice on how to deal with this.
Peter?
Hey, Jim. I was, with the capacity being released, I know you said 25% capacity or less within the stadiums. Do you guys, you kind of sorted out solutions to keep people, I guess, socially distanced when they're in the stadiums, like going to bathrooms or concession stands or anything like that?
Yeah, we have actually some plans, and we've been working with a third party as far as they call it D1 intelligence or whatever. They're we're going to have some. One, we're going to need cooperation from people to be able to do it, and just like you're going to be required to enter as far as having a mask, and then if you can't social distance, you need to wear that mask, and we'll have groups of social groupings, if you will, but also have a lot of an outline of here's how we would like you to handle yourself while you're here. Nick probably knows more detail. He's sat in a lot of those meetings. But I think we need cooperation, and I think the best advice that Dr. Witt, our immunologist, gave us is you got to treat everyone like they have COVID, and that means if you can't socially distance, then wear a mask and make sure that you sanitize your hands and you keep yourself safe. But if you're in your social safe circle, I think our limit, we're talking about having 10 people in a group in the stadium, and I think that can work if people are smart and abide by the health rules.
Did you say masks will be required
To enter this? I think we've sent
Yeah.
that out. I mean, actually, the SEC has mandated that in the protocol.
Okay, thanks.
And there we'll have a little bit more detail, but there'll be zones that are going to be set up within the stadium, basically relative to the gate that we would like you to enter, that we want you to use this set of restrooms and this set of concession stands. And so by zoning the stadium, hopefully we can make the traffic flow the right way and keep the appropriate separation. So that's our plan.
Thank you.
Dave Matter.
Jim, can you say how many athletes currently have tested positive? And either way, are you satisfied with how they have handled kind of the guidelines when they're away from the facility as far as what they're supposed to do and not do?
I don't know the number, but it falls into the aggregate for the university, and so we're into that total number. I think they're starting to. Nick would know how they're reporting that, but we've done well. We can do better. There always, I think, especially with the students coming back, there was more opportunities and more people coming in that potentially, could be positive, and there were. So you see a little bit of a spike. And I think for us to play, to have fall sports, and for the university to be open, I think we need to, for us to play, I gauge the high schools are practicing and I think scheduled for games this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But if they continue to go through it safely and effectively, and we don't have huge spikes in positives, and right now I've gotten that we're doing all right, and we're doing okay, and so far so good as far as the university and the number of cases and being able to manage those. I think we're in as good a place as possible.
Mitchell.
Hey, Jim. I know that the NCAA decided to go ahead and grant a blanket waiver for all fall sport athletes to get another year of eligibility, regardless of how much they play this season. I know there's still a lot of variables, obviously, that go into this in terms of what the football season will look like, take advantage of that. But sense of the financial feasibility of Missouri, paying another year of scholarship for that number of athletes?
Yeah, one, it's an unknown right now, and coaches are just starting to talk, and as far as the student athletes, they're gonna look at how this year goes. I think before they probably decide on what they're doing for next year. If it's satisfying, if they have, if they're a senior and they have job opportunities or they're moving on. Those things are happening, and so it'll be. We don't have a number yet, and I don't know what that number is, but it is an increased expense. I'm not sure what it'll be at this point.
Quick follow-up, if that's all right. What I guess could be, some possibility of the scholarship?
Sorry, Mitch, you're breaking up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
Mitch,
try
you're
again?
frozen up.
You're froze.
I guess,
come back.
am I back?
You're back.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just as a follow-up, what could some of the long-term ramifications be it extending the scholarship limit beyond just 1 year as it has been right now, or does this, I guess, make it more likely that you could see a one-time transfer waiver? Has there been any talk about the possible, I guess, longer-term effects?
Yeah, I think it does impact, future classes and how that, the opportunity for playing, starting, those kinds of things. It depends on your sport and your team and the number of teams. It could make, more teams more competitive if they have a lot of seniors returning. Suddenly you have a new class that you didn't think you had for next year. And so all those are things, you guys probably know all the other options or things that could occur. But I think those are a few that come to mind for me is competitively, what does it mean? Obviously, financially, you asked the question, and I think those are all things yet to be determined.
Andrew?
Hey, Jim, just to follow up on Dave's question from earlier, I know you don't have an exact number, but Eli Drinkwitz has said it's like a 3% positivity rate under that for the football team. Can you at least confirm that it's underneath that still?
I think that's where I haven't heard anything different. I think we're in good shape we're in as good a shape as possible. So, I'd rather have 0 cases, but I'm also a realist and understand that. But I think we haven't seen a massive, spike or anything like that occur.
And then for those of the athletes and staff that have gotten COVID, are all of them doing well? Has anyone had any serious issues, or has everyone been recovering and feeling fine?
Yeah, Nick, I don't even know if any of them.
Thankfully, no. They have not had any
I don't
serious
think
problems, no hospitalizations or anything.
no
like
hospitalization. That was what I was going to say, Andrew. So yeah, we haven't had any that have been significantly serious.
Eric?
There he goes. Hey, Jim, I know you said it's 25% for football, but have capacities for volleyball, especially because it's inside at the Hearn Center, or soccer or cross country, which is more, I know, outside. Has any of that been determined yet?
Yeah, we'll probably keep the same policy as far as, the percentage and all. And we were just talking about that. That's why I was a little late for the call, and I apologize. But just talking from a staff standpoint of, what does that look like? We have more time to figure it out, but it's coming quicker than we think. And Hearns can handle a heck of a lot of people, so we can socially distance there. It's like one of our alums, when I was talking to him, he was out in Wyoming. He said they created social distancing in Wyoming, and we probably did that with Hearns for a volleyball match or whatever. So I think we can properly social distance there, and soccer, I think we should be in good. There's a lot of standing room space at all as well. So I think there shouldn't be a problem with those.
We'll go to Bill Pollock.
All right. Good afternoon, Jim.
Hi, Bill.
How crucial is the next 2 weeks with the general population coming back that there isn't a big outbreak on not just Mizzou's campus, but just in the SEC for getting fall sports rolling?
I've kind of looked at it months ago that this was the crucial time as we looked to be able to move forward. Right now, we've been progressing and taking our little baby steps and all, and we need to continue to progress. And if high school football or the pandemic rises to a real serious level here in Boone County and across the footprint of the SEC, then that changes the game. And so we'll have to react to what the virus does but I want to encourage people to really, take serious the guidelines and the masking and keeping yourself safe so that one, you can be safe, and two, that we can continue to have school, we can continue to have sports in Missouri.
Colin?
Hey, Jim, thanks for doing this. Hope you're well.
Thank you.
I was just curious. I'm not necessarily asking you to impugn colleagues in different conferences, but just what was your take on how everything is unfolding in the Big Ten and how important communication is between ADs, the commissioner, and university presidents and chancellors?
It's very important, and I just want to emphasize how great a job that Greg Sankey does as commissioner of the SEC, and we're not surprised. We have a lot of discussion, and I don't know the Zoom hours that he's logged on, with just us, but he's also logged on with our head coaches, our student athlete leadership groups, our presidents and chancellors, and just colleagues across the country as well. So there's been a lot of communication, and probably that's a positive out of this thing as far as the communication that's going on and the amount of time that we're spending in the SEC together. We had not spent that kind of time together. So I think it's beneficial, especially when you're challenged on a daily basis, weekly basis, or monthly basis with something new, something that's never been gone through before. And so it's been important for us to stay close.
So Uchi?
Hey, Jim, I know you just talked about it, but I know, with students returning, that's kind of the big thing, especially with the football season being pushed back, I guess. I was just wondering, have you heard any concerns or anything about just how students are maybe not necessarily following, all these social distancing guidelines? Like, I've heard stories of it's not happening on Mizzou's campus and campuses nationwide and everything.
Well, I can just speak for what Mizzou, and I was just on a call this morning with President Choi and others, our provost, and they actually went around campus today, stopped in on classes, and it was he really felt positive about what was going on and how people were being serious about being safe and following the rules. And so that doesn't happen everywhere and all the time, but I think they're really taking it serious and want to have a great education, and they know the end result. And I think they've seen the ramifications of not doing that. So I think it's been really positive.
Gabe?
Yeah, Jim, I think obviously what's tough for people is there's no real anything definite out there. And so, like, you guys have one team in your league right now who isn't able to practice. Have there been discussions in the league about, hey, is there a threshold where a certain team it's too much, or what does the league do if X number of teams have to shut down? Have those discussions happened, or is this all, let's just see what happens in a month?
No, yeah. There's been a lot of planning and still continuing, and we've been dealing with the things as we've needed, and had to do them, but at the same time pushing things back as far as we can so that you get as much information as possible before you make those hard decisions. And so right now we've broken up into groups by sport, and there's working groups in each of the across. There's coaches, administrators, senior women's administrators, and others that are on committees of the SEC, and we're working through those things. So we don't have all the answers, but we're going to continue to look at those, and you'll be getting that information as it comes out. But I think it's like I said, healthy conversations going on. I'm sitting on the soccer committee. Sarah Reisman's on the football committee, and there's good good positive conversations going on, but at the end we've got to take advice from the medical professionals and deciding on what we're doing, and but we're the practitioners and we're trying to make it work as best as possible. But those decisions on, okay, you've got 3 offensive linemen that have tested positive, the group has to social or self-quarantine. What are you going to do? How many is that number? I don't know right now, but we've talked about the issue, but we haven't determined what that is yet.
Dave, matter?
Jim, are you still projecting about 20% revenue loss going forward, or is that number fluctuated at all?
Right now we're still seeing, but we'll need to in the next month here look at where we think we are and if we need to make adjustments. And obviously you've seen the Big Ten counterparts, with no football, there's some serious it's a lot more than 20% that they're having to deal with for this coming year. And so hopefully we can stay out of that, and that's why we're really serious about trying to do it right, do it safe, and making it work.
Peter?
Yeah, this is kind of a curiosity question. I was wondering, have you, as an athletic department, talked to athletes at all about like maybe taking classes that are online rather than in person this semester more than usual? Like, is that something that's come up in discussions?
It depends on their major and all, and our academic staff, but we haven't been directing them as far as all online classes or whatever. It depends on what's offered. So there's a variety of, there's some blended classes, some that are purely online, and so I haven't seen the breakdown on ours. Nick, you got any report on that at all?
I have not. And I think
Yeah.
they're still adjusting kids' schedule, even, schedules just across all sports today with the kids coming back. So it somewhat does matter on what your major is and what the offerings are. And even the professors, I think, somewhat have an option of teaching it online or not. So we'll go to Andrew Hoffman.
Hey, Jim, I think I've asked you this every single news conference since the beginning of the COVID times here, but just your overall optimism, a month away from the football season, that there'll be a full season for Mizzou this year.
What do you mean by a full season?
10 games.
Because we're already short a couple. I'm back to being pretty dang optimistic about what's going on. And I've had my highs and lows, and you guys have gone through the ringer as well. And I was talking to Coach Martin about it. All of us we need some sports to occur, some contests to occur, because we've been going through the past 6 months, and it's just been crap the whole 6 months of dealing with all these different issues and things. And we're missing the highs and lows of that competition. And so, one, I'm very hopeful. Two, I think I am optimistic. And like I said, I don't control the virus, but I think the next 2 weeks will really, really determine if we can get to that full season. And so we'll see from there. Ask me in 2 weeks, Andrew.
I will.
Gabe? You're good. Dave? Oh, got him unmuted there.
I'm good. Back to that revenue question. Are any more layoffs that you have to make, do you feel like?
There's some that came to the end of their long-term furloughs and things that we've taken action on, but nothing new at this point. But like I said, we're gonna be looking over the next 2-3 weeks of where we stand right now. We'll continue to do that throughout this fiscal year of how much adjustment, and things we need to do. But with having games, we need to have our staff in in place and building up for hosting those events. And obviously with the students back, those people are on full alert, and so we have a lot going on. Obviously we're impacted by revenues, but we really appreciate the support of folks like Dave Johnson that, stepping forward and helping and supporting this program.
Any other questions? All right.
All right.
Wait,
Dave, did you have one more, or were you just?
Nick, I had my hand raised.
I know I'm not as entertaining as Eli, so I'm not a quote waiting to happen. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you all. Have a great day. Appreciate it.